Previously on One Punch Farmer, MC and Princess goes on a journey to Hanaru village. There Al hears a voice that leads him to a boy wearing the exact robe he has. The boy is glad that Al can hear him and they start conversing with each other. Philia asks MC who he is talking to. He realizes that the boy is a ghost and the boy introduces himself as Lei. He wonders where Al got his robe, noticing it is vaguely familiar. Al tells him that it was given by Helen, the receptionist at the guild. Lei smiles at the familiar name. He explains that this was the robe he wore when he died. It was given to him by his father and was infused with defense magic. This made Al realize something. He grabs the coat and puts his arm around Philia's shoulders. This surprises her and makes her blush. She questions what he is doing as his actions seem like something only couples do. But then Helen sees Lei and starts panicking at the sight of a ghost. Al covers her mouth so Lei can continue with what he has to say. Lei says he is happy that his sister, Helen, is still alive. He wipes his tears and tells them that she is the only survivor of the destruction of Hanaru village. Al informs Lei that Helen has no recollection of what has happened. Lei infers that due to the trauma she experienced, she may have sealed the memory to protect herself. However, he is more concerned now as Helen may be in greater danger and asks them to help her. A flashback reveals that a young Helen was calling Lei for lunch in the forest. He had been practicing to be a warrior, but he clumsily tripped on a stone, making him fall over. Helen rushes in to help him. Both of them did not notice that dark clouds started enveloping the sky. Helen reprimands Lei for playing pretend. He strongly objects that he was playing. He states that he wants to be a great warrior when he grows up. His sister discourages this, asking what he will do if he gets injured. Lei responds that scars are a warrior's medals and calls Helen a worrywart. Helen sighs and tells him that he is her only brother. She must be allowed to worry about him. She starts cleaning his face and Lei starts objecting to it. He says he is not a kid anymore and does not need her protection. They continue to banter as the dark clouds start to fill the skies. A fireball hits the village and screams start filling the air. The sound of explosions alarms Lei and Helen. They rush towards the village but arrive seeing only ruins and flames everywhere. Helen starts to look for their home and their parents, but Lei stops her. They see a black dragon flying in the air. Lei grabs Helen's hand and they hide. The evil dragon, Ouroboros, makes a thunderous landing and gives a ferocious roar. This scares the cornered survivors, but a brave boy grabs a rock and throws it at the dragon. His mother hugs him and stops him from doing anything foolish. Ouroboros is angered that the boy does not fear him. He explains that hope is the power opposite of him, so he must kill all of them. He chomps down on the mother and sister of the boy. This made Helen almost scream, had it not been for Lei's hand covering her mouth. The dragon proceeds to suck the darkness coming from the boy's despair and the fear of the other survivors. Helen asks what is happening and Lei says he has no clue, but they must run. She objects to this, as this would leave everyone at the mercy of the dragon. Lei explains to her how it's impossible to help them with their power. All they can do is run. Helen understands and they make a run for it. They run through the forest and Lei starts to think about where to go. The dragon roars and Helen suddenly stops. As Lei looks back to see what's wrong, the dragon zooms past them and lands. Lei grabs Helen and runs in the opposite direction. The dragon pursues them from the air and starts spitting out fireballs at them. It turns out the dragon is toying with them as he wants to see their desperation. The children continue to run helplessly. Helen trips, making Lei stop. She tells him to leave her. The dragon lands, taunting Helen, describing how he will consume her. She closes her eyes as the dragon's mouth comes closer. Suddenly, a dagger pierces the dragon's eye. Lei calls his sister to run, but the dragon's eye pushes the knife out, but it slowly regenerates. This angers the dragon, and he decides to kill Lei first. Ouroboros charges at him and bites down on him. Helen witnesses the entire thing and rushes to Lei as he lies bloodied on the ground. He tells her to run. She does not leave him and cries. Ouroboros is overjoyed by this scene. Human despair not only pleases him but gives him more power. He decides to let the girl live but will appear again after 15 years to destroy her in the town where she resides. He plans to feast on her despaired soul. Lei, although weakened, states that he will continue to fight even if he dies. He will protect his sister. Ouroboros uses his power to bind Lei so he can witness his sister's miserable fate. The dragon disappears and leaves Helen cradling her brother as he breathes his last. Back at the present, Lei explains how Ouroboros leaves a survivor for each city or town he destroys. The survivors start spreading the news about what happened. This creates new fears and rumors. The dragon reappears and kills the survivor and destroys the town he is in. Lei had seen Ouroboros' consciousness when he was killed by it. The dragon ate his fears and gained power by absorbing its prey's negative energies. Lei believes that the dragon is once again after his sister. He wishes for Al to stop it. However, Al reluctantly admits that he is not powerful enough to stop it. Lei, therefore, wants him to stop giving Ouroboros any power. The dragon's goal is to feed on the negative energy so it does not kill until its prey is moved to despair. Lei suggests using a power opposite of despair to weaken the dragon. He asks them to deliver a message to Helen for him. Al rushes back to the city carrying Phalia on his shoulders despite all her protests. She suggests carrying her in his arms instead, but he explains this is the fastest way to carry her while running. They arrive and are relieved to find out that Ouroboros has not yet attacked. Phalia decides to prepare the city for the attack by calling up the soldiers and evacuating people to the castle. Al will go find Helen. Back in the guild, Wang Li knocks on Helen's door. She is surprised to see her gone. Helen has made her way to the forest, which has become engulfed by darkness. Helen walks slowly with a knife in her hands. She stops and Ouroboros appears before her. She is trembling with fear. Ouroboros greets her menacingly and reminds her of his promise to devour her and her companions. His words trigger Helen's memories, and she can recall how her brother died because of her. She is remorseful for forgetting such an important memory. The dragon laughs when Helen is shocked by her recollection. He reminds her of how she caused her brother's death. Ouroboros describes how he pierced Lei's body with his fangs, which must have caused him a lot of pain before he died. On hearing this, Helen falls to her knees and starts crying, dropping her knife. The dragon continues to blame her for Lei's death. He says that her brother could have escaped without her, and it was she who dragged him down. He states that countless people will also die because of her, as he will also destroy the place where she chose to live. He continues to blame her choices and goads her to despair. Helen starts believing that all of it is her fault. She grabs her knife. The evil dragon's eyes narrow as he observes her actions. He asks her what is she going to do. She begs him to leave after taking her life. She puts her knife to her throat and closes her eyes. Ouroboros starts consuming her despair and declares that he will still kill all the people in the city whether she lives or dies. In the city, the princess gives the guards instructions on how to evacuate the villagers and how to fortify the gates. She looks worried as she thinks of MC. Ouroboros continues to mock Helen in the forest. He sneers and asks if she will kill herself or witness how he will destroy the city. She becomes desperate. She apologizes to her brother for wasting his efforts to save her, and she says she is going to meet with him. She slowly moves the dagger toward her throat, and the dragon rejoices at her growing hopelessness. Al suddenly comes in and stops Helen. The dragon angrily swipes him from his intrusion. MC gets knocked back to a tree, but the magic of the robe protects him from any fatal damage. This surprises the dragon, questioning if he is human. Helen cries out to him and tells him to run. Al slowly stands up and declares he is not only a human but also a farmer. He runs towards Ouroboros and punches him square in his jaws and goes to Helen. He tells her that he is there to save her. The dragon recovers and states that it was quite an achievement for MC to hurt him. Al takes a look at Ouroboros' stats and sees that it is still very high. The dragon starts taunting Al and challenges him to a fight. MC asks Helen to step back. Helen hesitates behind Al, but he turns around to reassure her, which reminded her of Lei's promise. Al faces off with the dragon. MC dodges the dragon's attacks while landing another massive punch. He swings his tail and hits MC. He follows it up by trying to crush him, then eventually with a fireball. Al suffers from the successive hits, but stands up again, declaring that a farmer is sturdier. The daily work had made him stronger. Helen pleads with Al to run as she doesn't want anyone else to die because of her. MC refutes her and grabs her hand. They start running away from the dragon as Al explains to her that it was not her fault that others got hurt. Helen insists her brother died because of her. Al explains to Helen that he had met Lei earlier. Her brother knew that she would blame herself once she got her memories back, so he sent Al to give Helen his message. It turns out that Lei did not regret saving Helen. Since she survived, she should live a happy life for everyone. This way, Lei will be proud of himself for being able to save his big sister. This brings hope to Helen. MC continues to remind her not to give up as each adversity that they may face, however difficult, there is always a chance to triumph. He smiles and shares that hope is Ouroboros' weakness. Light starts piercing through the darkness of the forest. This alarms the dragon, and he starts taunting Helen again. But his words have no effect. Al starts noticing Ouroboros' stats going down. MC acknowledges that Lei was right. The dragon's power came from the despair people felt, but hope diminishes his powers. Ouroboros angrily swoops down toward Al. MC meets his charge with an uppercut that knocks the dragon out. Helen asks if MC is okay and approaches him. Al smiles and says he is fine. He turns and asks if she is also okay, but he is met with a knife to his stomach. Helen had stabbed him, and she looks at Al's questioning face with red eyes. The episode opens right after Helen stabs Al. He is bewildered by this as he stares into her red eyes. She smiles and takes the knife out. This makes Al wince in pain and slump to the ground. He tries drinking a healing potion, but he drops it. Helen starts attacking him, but he dodges the attacks. Due to his weakened state, he drops to the ground again. Helen taunts him while licking his blood off the knife. He asks why she is doing this. He puts his palm on his knife wound and it starts glowing without him noticing it. Helen notes that he must be suffering, but she will put him out of his misery. She lounges at him with her full strength. Al closes his eyes as he waits for the inevitable. Suddenly, a large silver wing blocks Helen's attack. Mirage, the holy dragon, has awakened. Al is amazed and wonders why it's here. The dragon tells Al to focus. Helen is possessed by Ouroboros. The possessed Helen smirks and questions why he revealed Mirage revealed this secret as he had planned to tease Al some more. Mirage angrily reprimands Ouroboros for his actions. He then lends Al his regeneration powers which heal Al's wound. This effort, however, exhausts the holy dragon. He collapses to the ground. In the capital, the princess is busy with preparations for the evil dragon's attack. She realizes they are no match for the dragon, but will defend the city to the very end. Back in the forest, Mirage explains to Al that his body will not last much longer. Al has to break Ouroboros' defenses so he can purify Helen with the power he had bestowed on him. That way, he will be able to save Helen. The possessed Helen taunts Al as he will be unable to attack Helen's body as he cares for her. But Al surprises him by one-punching Helen in the stomach. She gets knocked back and falls to the ground. Ouroboros wonders why MC hit Helen. MC reveals that Helen's eyes pleaded with him to stop Ouroboros as she did not want to hurt other people with her own hands, even when she is possessed by evil dragon. She wanted MC to stop her and the dragon. Al asks Helen if he did okay, and Helen thanks him. He extends his hand to help Helen up, but Ouroboros uses this opportunity to leave Helen's body and tries to take possession of MC's body. He teases Mirage and declares his victory as no one will be able to stop him. As Ouroboros starts to take possession of Al's body, something goes wrong. The evil dragon notices that MC's mind is blank except for plowing fields and planting. He could not find a weakness in Al's heart to allow him to possess his body. This knocks the possessed Helen back.
Okay, enough with the bad puns already. Okay, I get it. One pun man. Okay, you make puns. Very funny, I get it.
Actually, I'm not One Punch Man anymore.
What? The square root of 4? What? I don't get it.
I'm 4 Root Punch.
Seriously, fruit punch?
The evil dragon realized that Al did not just resist his possession, he was able to kick him out as well. Mirage uses this moment to stand up and use all this strength to end Ouroboros. He purifies Helen of Ouroboros' consciousness. Mirage thanks the knocked out Al, and a beam of light pierces through the dark clouds above. The light spreads through the forest and slowly removes the dark energy that has enveloped the entire countryside. As the dark clouds fade away, Al and Helen lay on the forest grounds. At the capital, the princess notices the darkness fading and thinks of Al. Later, Al wakes up at the guild treatment room. He is greeted by Helen and the princess, who has disguised herself as Philia again. She unconsciously hugs Al. He apologizes for making all of them worry. Philia gathers herself and happily declares that she knew Al would be fine. Al is flattered by this but asks what happened to Ouroboros. Helen explains that because of Al and Mirage, the evil dragon was purified. It seemed that Mirage exhausted his power as he also disappeared once the bright light faded away. Helen inquires if they are talking about Mirage, the holy dragon. Al confirms that it was the holy dragon who gave him power and helped them. He asks how Helen is doing after being possessed by the evil dragon. She says she is fine except for an interesting accident. She shows off her arm and transforms it into a dragon's claw. Al jumps up alarmed that Ouroboros is still possessing Helen. She smiles and transforms the hand back to normal. This amazes Philia and Al. Helen decides to show off by transforming her hands and her foot into the dragon's extremities and how she can magically return them to normal. Helen explains that she was left with enormous power when the evil dragon was destroyed. She was hesitant at first regarding the power that was used to destroy humans, but she realized she may be able to use that power to save humans in the future. She tells them that she remembers what her brother Lei had told her. Lei had never regretted saving her life, and since she survived, she must live a happy life for everyone. She wants to honor his sacrifice by using the power for good. Al smiles and agrees with her. They share a brief moment of staring at each other. Philia, with a small hint of jealousy, comments that she feels she should not be there. Both Al and Helen deny this. Helen asks her who she is as Philia is always hanging around. Al MC introduces her as Philia. When Helen asks what is their relationship, Al stammers and Philia steps in and announces that they are childhood sweethearts. MC sheepishly agrees with this statement. The guild master barges in and asks how Helen is. He is followed by the three adventurers Jake, Lamia, Luke, and Wang Li, Helen's foster mother. Helen is surprised that they are all there. Her mother explains she tried to stop them, but they insisted on seeing her. The guild master welcomes Al back while the three adventurers congratulate him on killing Ouroboros and start making a ruckus. This angers Wang Lei as she wants Al to rest. To stop any other arguments, Al tells her she is fine. Jake wants to celebrate the victory and everyone agrees. Jake says it will be the guild master's treat. He questions this, but Luke reasons out that the guild will be well rewarded by the princess for having one of their adventurers defeat Ouroboros. Al downplays this claim as he was not solely the one to defeat the dragon. Philia absent-mindedly says that the guild will be rewarded for getting that she is in disguise. The entire group looks at her, and she recovers by saying she hopes that they will be greatly rewarded by Princess Fall, who will be the one deciding to reward them. Philia agrees with this, and they decide to have a party to celebrate. They toast to Al Wayne and his victory over the dragon. But when the guild master tries to make them toast to his greatness, they quickly turn and pretend to be drinking. Al looks on happily. The guild master encourages them to enjoy themselves as he expects a better performance from all of them. Luke uses this to announce, it is the guild master's treat, so everyone should be free to enjoy themselves. Luke then invites Al for a drink, but Lamia knocks him down and tells him not to force Al to drink. Lamia asks what Al is drinking, and he reveals it to be remonade, a juice similar to lemonade. Lamia then drags Luke away as he constantly tries to get Al to drink. Al thinks that he should not stay out too late as he has some potatoes, a crop similar to potatoes, to harvest the following morning. He is surprised when Philia is able to read his mind. She encourages him to take a break for the day as it was a day worthy of a celebration. She bows and thanks him for his efforts. She is happy that she was right about him. She recalls that when she was at the rampart preparing the troops to fight Ouroboros, she knew she was too weak to fight the dragon. It was the knowledge that Al was out in the forest fighting it that gave her the courage to fight to the end. They are just wondering why he rejected their offer to move with them, as the reason he stayed was that he wanted to farm. They are inquiring if he is in love with any girl. They want Al to visit them, and they have attached traveling expenses with the letter. Testa comments that his parent must miss him so much and asks how long since he visited them. Al stammers and starts counting with his fingers. Testa notes he should visit his parents. Al relents and promises to visit his parents after his pending quest from the guild. At the capital, Al approaches a trader selling tomato, a fruit similar to a tomato. He takes a bite and is mesmerized by the sweet and sour flavor and the freshness of it. He begs to know where the tomato came from while explaining to the trader the nutrient content of the fruit and its perfect sweet-sour ratio. The trader is taken aback, but he reveals that the tomato came from Lulubis and tells MC that the fertilizer they use there is special. Given the information, Al runs to the guild and informs Helen that he has to go back to his hometown. Surprised by the sudden request, she starts apologizing and begs him not to leave the guild. But Al quickly clarifies that his parent moved to Lulugus and he heard about the special fertilizers they use. He wants to visit his parents as he has not seen them for a while. Helen is relieved by this. Al requests to transfer his current quest to someone else. Helen looks at the quest and tells him she will take care of it. This concerns Al as the quest involves killing monsters. Helen reassures him and reveals that she is also an F-rank adventurer and not just the guild receptionist. She tells him that ever since she learned to control the powers of Ouroboros, she seems to get the hang of killing monsters. Helen assures her all will be fine and Al only thinks about one more problem. Philia calls to MC as he goes out of the guild and informs him that she wants to accompany him on his quest. Although she cannot register with the guild, she still wants to improve her rank. Al informs her of his pending trip, which excited Philia. She insists that Al bring her with him to visit his parents, but he quickly declines her suggestion, but promises that he would come back as his farm needs to be taken care of. She again brings up her request to go with him to his parents' hometown. Al quickly vanishes before she can insist any further. Traveling to Lulugus, Al goes through a forest. He wonders why Philia continues to insist that she follows him everywhere. He gets excited with the thought of buying the special fertilizer. His excitement would soon die out as he encounters a sus-looking male orc. He runs away from the orc, but it jumps on him from behind and starts doing questionable stuff. MC is trapped and shouts how much he hates orcs. Suddenly, several slashes of blades kill off the orc and freeze Al. Al sees that he was saved by a pretty blue-haired girl. With this, we end our video. Stay tuned for the next part and watch our other quality contents.